Okay, so with these, we always want to first look for a GCF. So we have 16x cubed minus 44x squared minus 42x. So we look here, we see that they each carry an x, and they are all even. So we're going to start with 2x. When we divide, we get 8x squared minus 22x minus 21, and we set that equal to 0. So now we need to continue to factor what's inside the parentheses. Since there's a number in the front here, we're going to draw our giant T, write M, and adds. Remember, we multiply the first times the last. So we have 21 times 8, which is going to give us negative 168. Oops. And what adds to give us negative 22. So now we have to use our calculator and ask ourselves what two numbers multiply to give us 168 and divide to give us 22. So let's see. It's going to, oops, I forgot to put the 8x here and the 8x here. It's going to be 28 and 6. And since it's negative 22, the 28 is going to be negative and the 6 is going to be positive. So now we go and we see what our GCF is on each side. Looking at the left-hand side, between 8x and 28, we can divide by 4. So 8x divided by 4 is 2x. Negative 28 divided by 4 is negative 7. Now we look at the right-hand side. We have 8x and 6. The GCF between that is 2. 8x divided by 2 is 4x. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So now we're going to write our answer. We always bring down our GCF. We have 2x minus 7 in the first parenthesis. We have 4x plus 3 in the second parenthesis. And now we have to set each parenthesis equal to 0 and solve. So 2x equals 0, 2x minus 7 equals 0, and 4x plus 3 equals 0. Well, this just means x equals 0. We have to add the 7. We get 2x equals 7. Divide by 2. So x is going to equal 7 halves. And then subtract 3. And divide by 4. So x is going to equal negative 3 over 4. So that's number 5. Number 6 of what you sent me. Since there are 4 terms, we're going to factor out a GCF by splitting the polynomial in half. So I'm going to draw a line down the middle. I think your teacher puts parentheses. It's the same thing. Looking between 2x to the 4th and 2x cubed, the GCF would be 2x cubed. And we would be left with x minus 1. So now on the second side of the parenthesis, or of the dash line here, we're looking for an x minus 1 again, inside the parentheses. So, I have 7, oops, did I write that wrong? I think I wrote it wrong on yours. Let's see. Sorry. I think this is supposed to be a squared. So if that's the case, this would be negative 7x, and I'd be left with x minus 1 again, equals 0. So what's outside the parentheses is going to go in one of the parentheses. So it's going to be 2x cubed minus 7x. And the second one is going to be x minus 1. Now if you look here, there's a GCF still here. So we need to factor that out, which is an x. So then we're left with 2x squared minus 7 and x minus 1. So then you have to set each parenthesis equal to 0 and solve. So this one would be just 0. This one would be x squared, 2x squared equals 7. So x squared equals 7 over 2. So x is going to equal plus or minus the square root of 7 over 2. And then you add 1. So you get x equals 1. I have a few more examples here, and then I'm going to go through for you just to help with reminding. So here it's difference of squares. We have 10w5 minus 10w. First we need to check if there's a GCF. Okay, there is. It's 10w. So 10w is going to come out. I'm going to be left with w to the 4th minus 1. Now inside here is the difference of squares. So now I'm going to rewrite my GCF, and I'm going to break down w to the 4th minus 1 into w squared minus 1 and w squared plus 1. Remember, it's a squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b. So now we need to see if there's still another difference of squares. And there is right here. So now we have to continue to factor, and we get to bring down the 10w. W squared turns into w plus 1, w minus 1, and then w squared plus 1 comes down, and that is our final answer. So we always want to check to see if we can always continue to factor, especially when there is a squared. There's a squared term right here, but that has a plus sign, so it's not difference of squares. Looking at the next example here, I have sum of cubes. So first, again, I want to check to see if there's a GCF. There is. It's 3CD. So now I'm left with 8c cubed plus 125d cubed. Remember, I want to break these down into their cube roots. So I'm just going to do that over here. 8c cubed can turn into 2c cubed. And then 125d cubed is really 5d and then cubed. So this is my A and this is my B. Remember, sum of cubes is A plus B times A squared minus AB plus B squared. So I rewrite my 3CD. My A is 2C. My B is 5D. That's my first parenthesis. Now I do the long parenthesis. A squared, so 2C squared would be 4C squared. Sorry. Now, A times B. So 2 times 5 is 10. And C times D is just CD. And then I have B squared. So 5D squared would be 25D squared. And that is going to be my final answer. And the last one that I have for you is the difference of cubes. So again, we want to make sure that we have our GCF taken care of first, and then we also make sure we find what our cube roots are going to be again. So looking here, I have 2x cubed minus 53y cubed. So 2 is going to be my GCF. When I factor that out, I'm left with x cubed minus 27y cubed. So again, I want to break that down. So I have x cubed minus 27y cubed. This is going to be x. And the cube root of 27 is 3. So I have 3y cubed. So again, just so we have the rule, it's a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So bring down the 2. A is x. B is 3y. And now I have a squared, so that's going to be x squared. A times b is x times 3y, which is going to be plus 3xy. And then b squared is going to be 9y squared. And then we're done. We can't go any further. So I hope this helps. If you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, best of luck on your test tomorrow.